Hello, I'm Evita Dialina. I am an environmental engineer and member of IKEA. The topic of my presentation is global warming, the greenhouse effect. Unfortunately, I could not be with you, and for this reason, I recorded my presentation. First, what does global warming mean? Global warming occurs when air pollutants collect in the atmosphere and absorb sunlight and solar radiation that have bounced off the Earth's surface. Normally, this radiation would escape into space, but these pollutants, which can last for years to centuries in the atmosphere, trap the heat and cause the planet to get hotter. What is the greenhouse effect? In a greenhouse, sunlight enters and heat is retained. The greenhouse effect describes a similar phenomenon on a planetary scale, but instead of the glass of a greenhouse, certain gases are increasingly raising global temperatures. The surface of the Earth absorbs just under half of the sun energy, while the atmosphere absorbs 23% and the rest is reflected back into space. Natural processes ensure that the amount of incoming and outgoing energy is equal, keeping the planet's temperature stable. Human activity is resulting in the increased emission of greenhouse gases, which, unlike other atmospheric gases such as oxygen and nitrogen, become trapped in the atmosphere, unable to escape the planet. This energy returns to the surface where it's reabsorbed. Because some energy enters than exists the planet, surface temperatures increase until a new balance is achieved. The contribution that a greenhouse gas makes to the greenhouse effect depends on how much heat it absorbs, how much it radiates, and how much of it's in the atmosphere. These heat-trapping pollutants are specifically carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, water vapor, and synthetic fluorinated gases, and are known as greenhouse gases, and their impact is called the greenhouse effect. Methane is the second most important greenhouse gas contributor to global warming, following carbon dioxide. On a 100-year timescale, methane has 28 times greater global warming potential than carbon dioxide and is 24 times more potent on a 20-year timescale. The concentration of methane in the atmosphere is currently around 2.5 times greater than its pre-industrial levels. Methane is the main constituent of natural gas. Its emissions results from the production and transport of coal, natural gas, and oil, as well as from livestock and other agricultural practices, land use, and by the decay of organic waste in solid waste landfills. Carbon dioxide is naturally produced by animals during respiration and through the decay of biomass. It also enters the atmosphere through burning fossil fuels and chemical reactions. It is removed from the atmosphere by plants in the process known as photosynthesis, which turns sunlight into energy and also transports carbon dioxide and water into sugar and oxygen. The absorbed carbon dioxide is kept out of the atmosphere until plants die, and that is why forests play an important role in capturing carbon. Nitrous oxide is mainly produced as a result of microbial action in the soil, the use of fertilizers containing nitrogen, the burning of timber, and chemical production. It is emitted in agricultural and industrial activities as well as in land use. The combustions of fossil fuels and solid waste. Hydrofluorocarbons represented about 90% of the fluorinated gas emissions, and the European Union is working to phase them out by 2050. They are mainly used to absorb heat in refrigerators, freezers, air conditioners, and heat pumps, as propellants in asthma sprays and technical aerosol spray cans, and as blowing agents for phones. Let's watch a video about the greenhouse effect.
Earth is a comfortable place for living things. It's just the right temperature for plants and animals, including humans, to thrive. Why is Earth so special? Well, one reason is the greenhouse effect. A greenhouse is a building with glass walls and a glass roof. The clear glass allows sunlight to shine into the greenhouse while also trapping the sun's heat inside. This is how a greenhouse keeps plants warm even at night and in the winter. The greenhouse effect keeps Earth warm in pretty much the same way. Earth isn't surrounded by glass, but it is surrounded by a jacket of gases called the atmosphere. In the daytime, the sun shines through the atmosphere, warming Earth's surface. After the sun goes down, Earth's surface cools. This releases heat back into the air, but some of that heat is trapped by the gases in the atmosphere. These heat-trapping gases are called greenhouse gases. Carbon dioxide, water vapor, and methane are all examples of greenhouse gases. Earth needs a balance of greenhouse gases to maintain just the right temperature for living things. But some human activities are changing Earth's natural greenhouse effect. For example, burning fossil fuels like coal and oil releases more carbon dioxide into our atmosphere. These extra greenhouse gases can cause the atmosphere to trap more and more heat, leading to a warmer Earth.
We can take action in order to decrease greenhouse emissions. Some significant actions are eating more vegetables and less meat, reducing or reusing products, using renewable energy sources, saving energy, sharing cars and using public transport, and composting our food. There are many ways that we can save energy in our homes, such as insulating our homes, using energy-efficient applications, reducing water and heating expenses, washing our clothes in cold water, and using natural light. Renewable energy is energy from sources we cannot run out of. Common types of renewable energy are wind, solar, hydropower, biomass, and geothermal. Renewable energy produces far less carbon dioxide and other harmful greenhouse gases and pollutants. Reducing the amount you buy is the most significant of all the options to manage waste. The key is to only purchase goods that we need and in the right amount. If we never generate products in the first place, we do not have to extract raw materials, manufacture goods from scratch, come up with shipping materials, utilize additional resources for shipping, and then devise ways to dispose of them. According to studies, we must limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2040 in order to avoid the worst scenarios. The Commission's proposal to cut greenhouse gas emissions by at least 55% by 2030 sets Europe on a responsible path to becoming climate neutral by 2050. Based on a comprehensive impact assessment, the Commission has proposed to increase the European Union's ambitions on reducing greenhouse gases and set this more ambitious path for the next 10 years. The assessment shows how all sectors of the economy and society can contribute and sets out the policy actions required to achieve this goal. As we can realize from the diagram, each decade is hotter than the last. As we can see from the next graph, since the start of the Industrial Revolution in the mid-8th century, human activities have greatly increased the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Consequently, measured atmospheric concentration of carbon dioxide are many times higher than pre-industrial levels. The 10 biggest emitters of greenhouse gases are China, the United States, the European Union, India, Russia, Japan, Brazil, Indonesia, Iran, and Canada. Current policies in some of the major polluting countries are still far off track from achieving the Paris target. Greenhouse gases from human activities are the most significant driver of observed climate change since the mid-20th century. Climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. Such shifts can be natural due to changes in the sun's activity or large volcanic eruptions. Climate change is one of the most important challenges of our time. Its impacts are felt across the globe, affecting people, nature, and the economy. To mitigate climate change, we need to reduce global emissions of greenhouse gases significantly. Translating this overall objective into concrete measures requires understanding a complex system linking emissions from different sources to national and regional impacts, global governance, and potential co-benefits. Scientists already have documented the impacts of climate change, which are the following. First impact is ice melting, especially at the Earth's poles. This includes mountain glaciers, ice sheets covering West Antarctica and Greenland, and Arctic sea ice. Second, much of this melting ice contributes to sea level rise. Global sea levels are rising 3.2 millimeters a year. The rise is occurring at a faster rate in recent years and is predicted to accelerate in the coming decades. Third, rising temperatures are affecting wildfire and their habitats. Fourth effect is that as temperatures change, many species are on the move. Some butterflies, foxes, and alpine plants have migrated farther north or to higher, cooler areas. Fifth is the precipitation that has increased across the globe on average. Yet, some regions are experiencing some more severe drought, increasing the risk of wildfires, lost crops, and drinking water shortages. In addition, other effects that could take place later this century if warming continues are sea levels are expected to rise between 26 and 22 centimeters or higher by the end of the century. Hurricanes and other storms are likely to become stronger. Floods and droughts will become more common. Less fresh water will be available since glaciers stores about 3/4 of the world's fresh water. The main causes of climate change are, first, generating power. Generating electricity and heat by burning fossil fuels causes a large chunk of global emissions. Second, manufacturing goods. Manufacturing and industry produce emissions mostly from burning fossil fuels to produce energy for making things like cement, iron, steel, electronics, plastics, clothes, and other goods. Third, cutting down forests. Cutting down forests to create farms causes emissions, since trees, when they are cut, release the carbon they have been storing. Since forests absorb carbon dioxide, destroying them also limits nature's ability to keep emissions out of the atmosphere. Deforestation, together with agriculture and other land use changes, is responsible for roughly 1/4 of global greenhouse gas emissions. Fourth, using transportation. Most cars, trucks, ships, and planes run on fossil fuels. That makes transportation a major contributor to greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide emissions. Fifth, producing food. Producing food causes emissions of carbon dioxide, methane, and other greenhouse gases in various ways, including through deforestation and clearing of land for agriculture and grazing, digestion by cows and sheep, the production and use of fertilizer and manure for growing crops, and the use of energy to run from equipment or fishing boats, usually with fossil fuels. Sixth, power buildings. Globally, residential and commercial buildings consume over half of all electricity. As they continue to draw on coal, oil, and natural gas for heating and cooling, they emit significant quantities of greenhouse gas emissions. Growing energy demand for heating and cooling, with rising air conditioners ownership, as well as increased electricity consumptions for lighting, appliances, and connected devices, can contribute to a rise in energy related. Seventh, consuming too much. Your home and use of power, how you move around, what you eat, and how much you throw away all contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. We run out of time, and it's time to act in order to avoid the worst case scenarios. Thank you so much.